Good guys, your mate Aries Tao here. Welcome to Godox Lighting 101. The discussion about AI has been going on for months after Midjourney version 5 it's been published. So today, rather than doing lighting on location, I use AI to create a couple of backgrounds, and then we are going to use the light to mimic the real-world lighting for the composition. And here we go. AI can be applied in so many fields. The way I use it is saying that, there are some places we want to go, but we cannot go. So I decide to design a fashion campaign at Great Canyon with AI, and then do my shooting in studio and do the composition. Talk about the lighting. There's two 8300 with 165 centimeters diffusion umbrella at the back for field lights. The reason I use two is I can stand in between so that the lights wouldn't cast any shadows over the models. And there's 80-1200 to bouncing off the ceiling to have some skylights over her body. There is S200 to mimic the sun, to casting on model's shoulder to mimic the midday harsh sunlights. I add a quarter CTO gel to cast the yellowishness on her shoulder to mimic the warmer sun temperature. And then this is optional. I add another 8300 to mimic the reflector to bounce some lights back on her face. And here we go. When you generate your image in AI program, like me in Midjourney, just make sure you generate a series of images with consistent lighting sort of scenario so that you don't have to change your lights every time in between different shots. Like me, I generate a series of images on midday in Great Canyon or in desert, right? The sun is pretty much up and high there, from slightly backwards to kiss on the model's hair, and sometimes spill on her shoulder and purposefully on her chest. In real world midday, it's gonna be challenging, but in studio, I can control how strong the fake sun is, so that actually helps. And you see, I don't really change my lights much once I set it up. This is something you need to take into consideration beforehand. A series of images with consistent lighting scenario. In my case, midday sun a bit behind the model. Another thing is, in real world, the floor is not always flat. You can see in this image, her feet will be stand up the hill. In this scenario, apple box works like a charm. So she can put one foot on apple box, another foot on the floor to mimic she's standing on the uphill. Couple of tips if you want to do the composition. So watch out the lighting, which is most important, right? Where the highlights goes, where the shadow goes. So try to mimic the same lighting scenario. So the number one things you need to watch out is the lighting direction, obviously, where the sun goes. Is it up high or it's on the side? Number two will be the color of the light. Is that warm in the highlights in the sun and a bit cool in the shadow? Using color gel to mimic the sun and to mimic the bounce lights. Usually field lights, I just have no color gels, but sometimes to mimic the lights bounce off the sand, I will use some CTO gel because the sand is yellow, right? After that, just watch out the lighting ratio, how bright the highlight is and how deep the shadow is. The more work you spend in your lighting, you will save tons of time in your post-production. Let me know what other topics you want me to do in the next episode. This is your mate Aries Tao. I will see you in the next episode.